Lots to get into today, but before we talk about any of it, Ayrton, I need the one shot on Steven. Look how sexy that background is. Come on. Psychos and sickos unite for a breaking news edition of PHNX Suns, of course, presented by Bet365. Download Bet365 app, use code PHNX365, deposit 10, place a bet for 5, and get $200 in bonus bets. We appreciate everybody filing in here early. I'm Eric, that's Steven, we got Espo, and of course, the Freckle Mamba behind the Mac making all of the magic happen, but none of the magic happens without all of you filing in here early in chat, watching on YouTube after the fact, and of course, if you're listening on audio. Some breaking news to get into today on Jalen Green's hamstring.
Well, I need to start somewhere else, though, Steven. Do we need to file an HR complaint for that?
I said the background was
I
sexy.
didn't know where that was going, and that was not planned. So
okay,
yeah,
Give him the one shot.
We good.
Give him the one shot. Give him the one shot again. Come on.
Man, look, if your point
That's
guard,
a wonderful one shot.
If your point guard keep turning the ball over, Ayrton, why are you gonna keep giving him the ball? Let somebody else. Multiple initiators.
Ain't nobody turn the ball over. Okay, look, before we get into how amazing that background looks, with the Valley jersey is back in the team shop today. We do have some news to get into, so hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this with your friends as well, and become a YouTube member today, like Deborah, like Aaron in the chat, like Russell in the chat, like my dad in the chat. Thank you all for being members. You can become a member, $5 a month today.
You gonna say hi or no?
I literally just said hi. We don't need to do
You
this
just said
again.
like my dad in the chat.
We don't need to do this again.
You didn't say
Hi,
hi,
Mr.
though.
Ruby.
We don't need to do
Papa
this
Ruby,
again.
what's going on?
Breaking
you got
news.
two guys that'll be up here.
Confirmed from Sham Charania and the Phoenix Suns organization
Never
themselves.
learn.
Jalen Green will be out at least 4 to 6 weeks with a right hamstring strain. He will be reevaluated after that time period. Obviously, that injury suffered against the Los Angeles Clippers over the weekend. It does feel like this is not like best case scenario, because best case scenario is he doesn't get injured, but not very severe.
I mean, this is essentially a grade 2 sprain. Grade 3 is if it essentially ripped off the bone, which is when it's dangerous. I think, if you don't mind, I think the best way we might want to start this is I had a chance to sit down with Adam Anacone, a former Suns trainer and a expert in this, and he explains exactly what these hamstring injuries are and kind of the severity. So you get an understanding of it, and then I think we can break down how we feel it'll play out. We see a lot of guys who will have a hamstring injury re-injure that pretty quickly. Is that a normal thing? And what leads to the idea that it can get re-injured so easily?
Yeah. So within the first year, literature has identified re-injury of a hamstring anywhere from 12 to almost 50% within that first year. So it's fairly common. And I even think in the NBA, it's somewhere around 37% re-injury rate. So it's high, it's up there, and it's fairly common. Again, we have to think about, we are dealing with humans that are doing subhuman or superhuman feats. They're flying around 100 miles per hour and putting a lot of wear and tear on that muscle tissue. And for a normal individual, you, me, what have you, who sustain a hamstring injury, and then maybe we go back to rec ball, we may not see that high level reoccurrence rate. But for individuals going 100 miles per hour, pushing the boundaries of this soft tissue, it makes sense why we see a lot of turnover, a lot of re-injury rates.
Once you re-injure it, does that rate of potential re-injury go up, or does that just kind of stay the same as you go along based on the research?
Yeah, it kind of stays the same. And I think what we tend to see is a little bit more err on the side of caution with that second re-injury. Let's give this a little bit more time. Let's make sure we're dotting our I's, crossing our T's, because the reality is you can have good success rates with this. We just need to make sure the rehab process is thorough. And that includes early on protecting it all the way to late stage rehab to where we're putting as much force and stress on that tissue as we can as possible. Now, there's some limitations to that. You could have the best rehab program in the entire world crafted by the best clinicians, which I know the Suns have. But even to that, trying to mimic in-game situations is really hard, and to sustain that for a long period of time. So there is some susceptibility to injury just because of our limitations of what we can simulate and what we can put an individual through regarding the rehab process.
So with what Adam said, this obviously is not that uncommon, especially in the NBA. Mm-hmm. Roughly 40% of guys will re-injure this within the first year of what happens. To me, he also explained there's level 1, grade 1, grade 2, and as I said, grade 3 is an actual tear. This is likely a grade 2. He said a grade 1 is a week. A grade 2 is 4 to 6. And that, as you heard there, you've got to be a little bit more cautious after that re-injury. Now, this could technically be the second time he re-injured it. If we look at that original timetable where he got hurt in training camp or right before training camp, mm-hmm. then supposedly re-injured himself or had a setback in China. This could actually be the third time he injured this. So I expect him to take probably that full 6 weeks just out of caution, like Adam said.
Yeah. I genuinely don't think – I can't envision him being back before the turn of the calendar going into the new year. And I think it's to the latter point that you made, out of extreme precautions being taken more than him not being ready.
Yeah.
They just want to make sure that once they bring him back to the floor, if he's not playing, it's because of something not pertaining to the hamstring itself or the other parts of the body that compensate for when a hamstring is not healthy. So you talk about the central chain of command, so the glutes, the lower back, the other hamstring itself. So they want to make sure that they're on their P's and Q's with that to be as preventative as possible. And again, for someone that's a top tier percentage-wise or percentile-wise athlete in the league, you want to make sure he's playing without thinking about anything regarding that injury.
And I think that's a big key because Adam in our conversation talked about how the elite of the elite athletes have this happen more because mm-hmm. of how fast they move and how quick they stop. Yeah. And we saw that on the play that had happened. It was while he was making that move down the lane and making a pass, and it was that deceleration. So you want to make sure you get it 100% right because he's so predicated on that athleticism.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a team that has been playing well without Jalen Green. I think this team also understands that there's a bigger picture than just what happens throughout November and December. And overall, you just want to be cautious because I feel like even though there's a high re-injury rate, if you go out there again and he re-injures it again, that is a concerning conversation. And we saw him, like, when he came out and he played, in that first game, he was electric. He looked quick. He looked fast. And if you have 100% Jalen Green, that changes a lot for this team. If you have an 80% Jalen Green, I don't know if I love those margins with his specific style of play. So let's look at it from a timeline perspective, right? He's going to miss all of November. If, let's say, he gets reevaluated around the 4-week mark and miraculously he looks great, no worries, he comes back on the early side in about 4 weeks. That would put us, the next home game then would be December 18th against Golden State because that would put them smack dab in the middle of the final week of NBA Cup play. So we don't know the Suns' schedule technically 4 weeks from now. If it's before that, it's a road trip against Los Angeles, Houston, and Minnesota on the early end. I don't really see a way where he's playing that early. If you go to the 6 weeks here, you're looking at the end of December. There's a 4-game road trip right after Christmas. Back-to-back on the road, the 26th and the 27th, both against the Pelicans, the 29th at Washington, and the 31st at Cleveland. For me, the logical and what feels like maybe the earliest he would actually be back is Friday, January 2nd at home against Sacramento?
I don't think it matters whether it's home or road. I think they lean towards home in the first place because they wanted a soft landing in terms of him getting to play in front of that home crowd. I don't think when he's coming back the second time it's going to matter whether it's home or road. This is going to come down to, are they 100% comfortable with where that hamstring is? And what I feel better about, because I assumed it kind of compounded. Once you had it, you had a larger percentage of re-injuring each time. Mm-hmm. But it sounds like that's not the case. It's that 37% every time is your chance of re-injuring. So if they feel that he's ready to go at any point in there, I don't think it's going to matter whether it's home or road. I think they're going to get him out there in it. My guess is it's probably right around that Christmas date, that 6 weeks, and they'll let him go out there and play. It also depends, what do things look like? I mean, sure. if you're 7-8 games above 500 in some crazy, wonderful world that we get to live in around Christmas, maybe you give him a few extra games because you're like, we're playing with some house money. We'll give him extra time. I don't know.
I would love to have a conversation with someone that works with the development side of the other side of recovery. So you get past the muscle being healed, and now it's about what you do to get it back activated to being ready for gameplay, because you just quite literally can't use that hamstring while it's healing. So if there's no running, there's no jumping, there's no explosive activity, no even weight training, when you come back, obviously there's a ramp-up period in terms of your conditioning because you just can't use your legs at that time. Probably most people be doing this stuff in the water, so they're just taking that strain off of the lower body. But I would just love to have more of a nuanced conversation with someone that's expert in that field, just to get a gauge at what that looks like.
So Adam actually talks about it, and you have to actually put that hamstring under the kind of stress that you're going to feel in a game, and they will do that over a prolonged period once you get into that phase of the recovery, because you have to make sure it can withstand it, and that it's not just is the initial pain gone, it's can it withstand that over a longer period of time. So they'll put him through situations that are making the hamstring do what he'll have to do in gameplay. Now, obviously, nothing equates playing in an actual game, but that's what he was saying is kind of the process. And he walks through in the interview, the full interview, he walks through exactly what that process looks like for somebody coming back from a hamstring injury. That'll be a VOD up here shortly, so you can watch the whole thing. But yeah, that was kind of the talk. You actually have to put him through that stress.
Well, that's why we heard from Jordan Ott before Jalen Green came back the first time. It was he had back-to-back good days. He's playing 5-on-5, but we're going to see how he responds to that. It's not just about in the moment. And again, he had a great 23 minutes in the first game against the Clippers. And then the second game, he responded well. He put him out there and he re-injured himself. So sometimes you can't tell until you're out there actually playing. But one thing we do know is that this Phoenix Suns team has been really, really good this year, especially over the last 6 games, winning 5 out of their last 6, being above 500, 5-1 at home, and a majority of that without Jalen Green. So just how good are they? Are they the NBA's biggest sleeper team? We'll take a look at their season as a whole and compare them to some other teams with similar records across the NBA, but we're going to do it on the other side of this break. I love wearing my branded Bills hats, and here's the thing that I love the most about branded Bills hats is that I'm always wearing hats, especially when I go and I work out and I get a sweat in, right? I like to keep the sweat out of my eyes, whatever. Usually that leaves stains on your hats, and for me, I gotta sometimes clean the other hats by hand with Branded Bills. Throw this baby in the washer, I wash it, I dry it, it looks just as good as it did beforehand because they are high quality, well made. Whether it's snapbacks, truckers, fitted beanies, or tees, Branded Bills has you covered with performance and style. And of course, I love our PHNX branded Bills that can help rep our local company because they love local. They are local. From Mesa, Arizona. They have partnerships with great universities like Arizona State and great franchises like your Phoenix Suns. And right now, you can head to brandedbills.com and use code BBPHNX. That's brandedbills.com, code BBPHNX for 15% off your first order. So whether it's a school, a team, or your own gear, brandedbills.com, code BBPHNX.
Yeah, I was out at their Tempe facility. They do unbelievable work. You know who also does unbelievable work. Our friends at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You guys have both been out there to Wild Horse Pass. It is a spectacular venue. Have either of you seen a concert or show out there?
I went and saw the Straight Game podcast live with Shaquille O'Neal.
Have you seen one out there, Steven?
Not yet.
Then I'm going to get you out there because their venue is unbelievable. I'm going to see Ben Folds in December. Probably not what you guys like. It's an old nerdy guy. So I'll go see him, but I'll get you guys into a show of your liking as well. You can join. Also, you can go to Wild Horse Pass, Lone Butte, Vequiva, or Santan Mountain to experience the best that the desert has to offer when it comes to casinos. 4,500 slots and live game tables, or you can catch all the action at the best sports book in the valley. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details.
Ben Folds, of course, famously the composer of the song Heist, featured in cinematic masterpiece Over the Hedge in 2006.
If you listen to that, you'd know it. You'd also know the song Brick by him if you heard it. Like, he's a guy that
I wish we could play music.
You know his music.
I know a brick house.
She's a brick.
All right. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you for joining us here on a Tuesday afternoon for a little bit of a breaking news edition of PHNX Suns. If you missed our conversation about Jalen Green and you're just filing in here, you can, of course, recap that and go back for the first 10 minutes. But look, this team has been without Jalen Green for a majority of the season. Only 30 minutes from the guard so far, and they are on a hot streak. They are one of the hottest teams in the NBA. They've won 3 games in a row. They've won 5 out of their last 6. They have the second best home record in the NBA. They have been playing out of their minds. When you look back, Steven, at maybe this recent hot streak or how it compares to the slow start for this team, what has stood out to you and impressed you the most?
It's the trusting on the offensive side of the ball. So for a team that wants to put pressure on opponents with their defense, but also do the same in unique ways on offense, you have to find ways to play fast. And they play fast in the half court because of, for one, nothing ever will move faster than a basketball. And the extent to which they trust the pass, like we detailed in postgame yesterday, it really speaks to the buy-in and how they're being taught to play and them trusting what they're being taught to do. Some of the constraints, we're watching them make 4 to 5 passes within the last 10 seconds of the shot clock in situations where other teams, especially with talents like Devin Booker or shot makers like Grayson Allen, would just err on those guys putting their Superman capes on. They're making another pass, and defenses don't usually have to rotate that late in the clock. They usually can play one-on-one defense. So when you're able to do that and trust that and do it time and time again, it's not a one-off. It's hard. It's hard for even a top-tier defense, different than the Pelicans, but hard for any team to kind of keep up with that over the course of 48 minutes.
Yeah, you talk about this being repeatable, and you've talked about that a few times. The offensive side, a lot of people are like, well, they can't shoot like this, right? But you look at what they're doing, and the process is repeatable. Mm-hmm. Getting those open looks is repeatable. Sure, guys like Royce, guys like Grayson may not hit at 50% every given night, but finding them open looks is definitely something that they can do on the regular. In the last 5 games, they're 5th in offensive rating. I think you had it where they're 8th in half-court offensive rating as well. Like, they're finding the ways within this system to score and score effectively and efficiently. And this is without, I don't think they've fully figured out how to use Mark Williams yet on the offensive side of the ball. This is just finding really good shots on the perimeter. But once they figure out that lob threat with Mark Williams, how to work him into the system a little bit more, I think there's another level they can actually go to where it takes pressure off of the Royces and the Graysons to have to hit at 50%, high 40% from 3 to really get you humming.
Yeah, the last handful of games, one of these last handful of games, I talked with Jordan about how he's seen the effect of Mark kind of play to their spacing.
First name basis, by the way. Talked with Jordan.
So anyways.
Besties.
Michael or Ott? Which one? Oh.
Well, if the other one was there, we would be having some conversations, Max. But no, I spoke with Jordan Ott about the Mark Williams dynamic in the offense, and I was speaking to it from a lens of roll gravity in terms of him rolling to the basket, that pulling someone in and opening their shooters. Jordan added to that is like, yes, that's part of it, but the part that he wants to see that they haven't really leaned into yet is the vertical spacing. So you have your spacing on the perimeter. The best offenses are going to have the vertical spacing with the perimeter spacing, and they haven't quite dipped their toe into throwing the lobs yet. Like you've talked about, they need to kind of practice it and kind of slowly integrate that, maybe using it just as kind of something to get it going. But once they get there in tandem with the three-point shooting, I think on a nights where the three ball isn't falling to the extent of 18 a game, maybe it goes down to 11 or 12, and instead of it just being more kickouts, now it's more lobs to mark or late hits to mark.
Can you talk, what does vertical spacing mean for the fan that might not understand that fully?
Yeah, so regular spacing is just out to the three-point line, and vertical is from the ground up to the top of the backboard for some of the taller, more athletic guys. So Mark obviously being someone that's 7 foot and also has like a 7'5" wingspan and can jump a little bit. So you can put it above the square on the backboard and he can just go get it up there. So short guys or even guys his height that don't have his athleticism can't usually go up to the clouds to go get that thing.
So to the point about three-pointers and generating open looks, this is courtesy of our friend Shane Young over there working for the Suns. The Suns are generating 25.6 wide open three-point attempts per game this season with at least 6 feet of space between the shooter and the defender. It's the second most in the league. Number one is OKC. Last year, the Suns generated 20.4 per game, the 10th most in the league, which isn't bad. But I think the main difference between last year and this year is it felt like last year a lot of the wide open shots came from simply having Kevin Durant, Devin Booker on the floor. Defense is new to crowd them, new to send a lot towards them. Obviously, you still have a gravity machine in Devin Booker, but just off eye test alone, it feels like it's been more of a system getting those threes. So not only have they been getting more, but they've been shooting a good percentage off of it. The shooting percentages might go down, but just generating open threes is one of the most important things to do in the modern NBA.
Well, and to that point, 62% of all Grayson Allen's three-point attempts have been considered wide open, so nobody within 6 feet, and he's hitting them at 50%. Like that, when Grayson Allen is getting those looks, a guy that has been at the top of three-point percentages before in a season, you know it's system predicated because they're not just standing there being able to cue on him. The ball's moving enough where they can get a guy like Grayson Allen open with it. That's huge.
And I think you make a good point, Eric, in talking about the system last season. The system was systematic. There were like robots within the system. You could kind of anticipate, okay, Kevin Durant's going to get the ball in the post. He's going to take 1 or 2 dribbles. If not, get double teamed on the catch. It's going to go back to the person that passed it to him, and they're going to +1 it around the wing for someone to get a catch and shoot 3. Rinse and repeat. That's okay. But what about when certain teams can kind of take certain angles away from that and kind of put a snag in your process? That's where the difference in night and day from last year to this year lies. This season, we saw it a couple of times last night, not necessarily a post-up, but you go pick and roll, they swing it off of that, and now there's a ghost screen that happens. And they defend that first one well, so do you just go away from that or do you find a way to get back into it? They go back and get to it again. It moves around, they get another ghost screen. That one's not sharp. That creates advantage. Someone's either hitting the 3 or getting downhill and being able to play off of the passes from there. It's that kind of tried, tested, and true. Again, late in the shot clock especially, teams don't play like that outside of Oklahoma City, and I think that's a differentiation piece for the Suns this year in respect to last year, but also the way most teams operate right now.
Yeah, from a novice eye, it looks like there's options on options on options, where we try this opens up that, and they have multiple ways in which they can play certain different things. It's not just one set play. I think that's the mindset that a lot of people think is, the offense is they come down, somebody holds up one, they run one play, which maybe it was kind of more like that to your point last year, but now they're just playing off of each other, and there's like mini movement within the larger movement that you get to watch in these games, which has been fascinating this season.
I wonder, here's something I didn't have a chance to check before the show. I wonder where they rank in like post-up touches per game, especially with Dylan Brooks out, because him and Devin Booker are really the only 2 guys who go to that. I don't know if that's something that you can grab right now, but I think when you look at what happened last year and how they generated offense versus this year, obviously you talk about a talent deficit, especially without Jalen Green. you need to have more ball movement and you need to move it around, but also the style of players that you have. Grayson Allen is catch and shoot or catch and drive. Royce O'Neal is catch and shoot or catch and drive. Devin Booker has done a really good job of mixing up his game, doing a lot off the dribble. Mark Williams, it's pick and roll. You're not dumping it down low to a 7-footer and trying to have them post up like you would have to do with Yusuf Nurkic. Obviously, you couldn't really do that with Nick Richards last year, and he wasn't utilized that well. So it's an interesting, different wrinkle to this offense. And obviously, when you have a player like KD, a player like Jokic, a player like Embiid when he's healthy, post-ups are an extremely efficient way to run your offense with those all-time greats. But with the type of talent that the Suns have, I think it's great that they have a system that gets the most out of them. But I also think the type of players they are just more prevalent to this style of play.
Yeah. I think Ramon makes a good point here. Sorry to cut you off, Steven. But he says, I think it helps Book doesn't have to bring it up every time, but when they get cold, they get the ball in Booker's hands as well. So it's almost a safety valve in that offense that they know if all else fails, Booker can make those shots if you need to.
Yeah, it's like an NFL team that has a breadth of receivers to where you can not really force it to your number one guy because your other pieces are complementary enough to bridge the gap. And then you go to your guy when you need him, third down and short in the red zone. You can kind of go to him when you need him to, and that takes the demand off of him, but also allows him to be even more impactful with that. To your point, 25th in total post-up so far this season. Only 2 a game on average, which is 26th. And obviously a lot of those are coming from Devin Booker. Mm-hmm. But I think the different part of it, so walk with me on this with your imagination some. So,
a little imagination. I like this. Let's go.
I don't know if I like that.
I didn't like that at all. He shifted in his chair too.
The land of imagination. Let's go,
like
Steven.
So with Mark Williams, obviously he's no Joel, he's no Jokic. He's not even like a Vucevic type of guy where he might get it down there every once in a while. It's not really his game, and that's not the Suns' approach on offense. What is akin to a post-up is a deep roll catch. So we talk about them finding ways to get him the ball. If he's getting it late and he's around the restricted area or outright in there, it serves similarly to a post-up where the defense is going to crash down because it's a threatening touch it deep into the paint. At that point, he can pass it back out. Obviously, he can just finish over the top of guys as well. That'll probably be the closest thing to post-ups that they get outside of Devin Booker getting to that space. And I think that's a positive sign for this team because the post-ups are only as good as you can leverage them within your offense. They're not just throwing the ball to Jokic for post-ups, and they're just watching them. Everybody's moving on the court. They're leveraging the court to kind of tilt it to make it harder to defend. Same thing with guys like Alfred Şengün. Even with Draymond gets post-up touches. Obviously, he's not getting them to score, but what are they doing? They're getting to their split action, and Steph Curry's roaming around somewhere, and Buddy Hield's somewhere running around too. So the Suns have their iteration of it. It's not a traditional post-up, and they haven't really leaned into it yet, but I imagine when they do, it's going to add, like you said, another layer to their offense.
One more thing on the defensive side of the ball that I want to point out. This stat, courtesy of what I believe it's Stats Defender, and the Suns are the best ISO defensive team in the NBA as far as points per possession. So far this year, this one goes out to Kev in the chat. They're allowing 0.67 points per possession. It's a big testament. Obviously, they have a good defensive scheme, but I think the most impressive thing on the defensive side of the ball this year has been individual effort. You've seen guys go up like Royce O'Neal, play up against 7-footers. Grayson Allen take on point of attack threats. You've seen Devin Booker stand tall, dive on the floor as the best player on this team. Obviously, they might not be the best ISO defensive team through 82 games. I think they've had a really good stretch here, but we've seen them as a team shut down a guy like Wemby, and we've seen them on an individual level just play good stand-up defense. I think that is also a culture thing, but a big testament to the guys' individual effort when it comes to that part of the game.
Which I think is a big testament to Jordan not actually getting buy-in, because effort is the easiest thing to have drop off if you do not believe in either your system or the guys around you. And when we hear Grayson Allen, we hear Devin Booker talk about the difference this year compared to last year, I think that's what they're hinting at. Nobody has come out directly and said that they're all being PC, but I think it's very much that is what they're kind of hinting at is we believe in this more on every level. We believe in this more, which makes it a lot easier to get effort out. Plus, when you've got freaking Dylan Brooks in your ear constantly, it's probably tough to let down on the defensive end because you're going to hear it.
Yeah, I was just double checking something while we were over here talking about the defense. This season, the Suns are switching pick and rolls the fourth most in the league, 32%, 32.2% to be specific. That's number 4 in the league. And you think about the whole switching conversation, and it's not always just guys doing it on the perimeter. It also has heavily involved Mark Williams. We talked about it on opening night. We talked about it at moments since then. They get into it with him still playing drop coverage at times or iterations of it. But what they're doing is switching after a threatening drive at times when it's including Mark. Now, that part of it is important because if he's defending guys on the switch closer to the basket and you can't just drive past him because of his size, you have to retreat dribble. Now you're going back to the perimeter, and what is that doing? The clock is ticking, tick, 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 tick. And to that point, I think they're 4th or 3rd in terms of time of possession on the defensive end, meaning how long it takes for a team to usually get up a shot at like 14 and some change. If they're forcing teams to take shots late in the clock, they're able to lean into Mark's versatility as well as the rest of them. Shot quality dwindles down the later the shot clock goes. That's why we've seen them turn those corners that they have the last 5 games on that end.
I don't remember if it was a shoot around or a practice, but somebody was talking to you and the rest of the reporters about how the communication's so important on the closeout when you kind of hedge, but then you need to know when to go back. Like even those little things as they're rotating have been so much cleaner than we've seen in a long time. And I think it's all attributing to this defense surprising a lot of people after the rough start that they had.
That was Mark Williams.
Was that Mark that was talking about
so
it?
Right on topic. Yep.
Mark's been a really big part of this defense. Mark's been a really big part of this team. Obviously, the Suns have had an incredible stretch after a really rough start to the season. So where do they rank among other teams with similar records? We'll take a brief look in the West and the East. If you're just joining us, Jalen Green out 4 to 6 weeks until he's reevaluated with a right hamstring strain. We talked about that for the first segment of the show. We just talked a little Suns ball. Now we'll compare them to some other teams. Then we'll get briefly into our blue-collar boys spectrum, update that, and play 2 rounds of Oddle. We're going to get into all of that after our final break. We like to have fun, joke around on the show, but it's absolutely no joke if you get into an accident or suffer a serious injury. And that's why the lawyer that you hire matters. And that's why even if you're not dealing with this right now, you need to write down this number for the husband and wife law team at 602-783-8841 or visit their website at husbandandwifelawteam.com. Write it down because you never know when you might need it. You never know when a family member and a friend might need it. These are unforeseen circumstances that happen to a lot of people on a daily basis. And when that does, or if that does ever happen to you, you need to make sure that you pick the right legal team. And they will make promises to you. Like you can cancel your fee agreement at any time for any reason. You will receive at least as much in your pocket as they receive for their fee, even if they have to reduce their fee to do so. And you may speak with one of their lawyers as often as you choose. They care about the Valley and they care about the people. If you've had a serious injury, call the husband and wife law team first at 602-783-8841 or visit their website at husbandandwifelawteam.com.
Mountain America Credit Union. It's the exclusive home of the Suns card. Last year, you may have been a little ashamed to pull that out of your wallet, but this year, you're going to want to use it all the time because it's good to be a Suns fan right now. And whether you want to use a debit card or a credit card, you can do that with a Phoenix Suns card from our friends at Mountain America Credit Union. Pair that Suns debit card with the My Style checking account to unlock great benefits like loan rate discounts, telehealth access, mobile phone protection, and so much more. You're going to want to be a part of it. And there's no annual fee on the credit cards, and low rates are available with cashback or reward card options as well. So you can make your money work harder for you. Mountain America is here to guide you forward on your financial journey. So get your Suns card today. Apply at any Arizona branch. Visit macu.com/Suns. Insured by NCUA. Terms and conditions and exclusions apply like everything in life. Loans on approved credit.
Back-to-back shows with quotes from Espo that should be put on a quote graphic. Yesterday's post-game, it was store your nuts.
Because winter is coming.
And today, it's pull it out all the time.
That's crazy.
If you've got a Suns debit card, you should.
Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thank you all for being here on a Tuesday afternoon. Lots of you in the chat. I will say, I think the like to viewer ratio is a little low, so let's go ahead and hit that like button. It helps us out quite a bit, and it's absolutely free. You can also become a member today for just $5 a month, get access to exclusive emojis and exclusive content, specifically film breakdowns from Steven, who has been in the lab cooking with Ayrton. They have a Grayson Allen film breakdown that should be hitting your feed sometime soon. And every single film breakdown, it feels like we're giving something to the members because we love our members and we love our diehards. You can become a diehard today as well at gophnx.com/join. For those who are just joining, 4 to 6 weeks for Jalen Green, reevaluated. Espo talked with a specialist that used to work for the Suns on Southwest Bias this morning, so you can also go ahead and check that out if you want a little deeper dive on what a recovery from a hamstring injury looks like, but not the worst news when it comes to Jalen Green. What I wanted to do here today is talk about kind of where the Suns stand among other teams with similar records in the NBA. So let's go ahead and start with the Western Conference. So right now, the Phoenix Suns, as it stands, 6-5, and 5-1 over their last 6, 5-1 at home as well, 3-game win streak. They are the 8th seed in the Western Conference, okay? In the play-in, the Golden State Warriors have the same record and, of course, have the tiebreaker, beating the Suns this year. They are also 6-5. Portland Trailblazers are 5-5, and the Memphis Grizzlies are 4-7 in the 10th seed. And I also want to throw in the Memphis Timberwolves, Minnesota Timberwolves. Wow, 7-4. They're the 6th seed. When you look at Minnesota, Golden State, Phoenix, Portland, Memphis, Steven, where do the Suns stand among those teams that they're around right now in the standings?
Minnesota, Golden State, Phoenix, Memphis, and Portland.
Yes.
They're closer to Portland than they are to the other teams.
Okay.
But both of those teams have clearly shown to be viable through these first 10 or 11 games.
I think they're better than Memphis. I know that they lost to them, but I think
they haven't been
better.
healthy yet, though, this season.
I mean,
that's my thing.
That's fair.
That's why I'm cautiously waiting to see what it looks like. If they have the chance to put it together, you never know what's going to happen. And Memphis has not been fun the last couple of years.
Bad in Memphis right now.
That's why I put that one on hold for a moment. But with the other teams, they're a little closer to Portland just because those other teams have been in the playoffs recently and they've done some things that are successful. So, you got the two prove-it teams in there being Portland and the Suns, and I think they've both in different ways shown to be viable and competitive with those teams that are in that upper echelon.
Yeah, I think the Suns are, we've seen their kind of best case scenario for a start where you see Golden State and Minnesota are kind of more in their, maybe not worst case scenario, but like not the greatest start, but that they're going to find their way as long as injuries don't hit them. So I agree with you there, Steven. Those two are a cut above where the Suns are, but I think you're looking at even if Memphis is healthy with everything going on there, Memphis, Portland, Suns are all kind of in that same conversation. Could you be anywhere from 7 to 10 in the West? That's where you're going to be talking. I think one of those teams, though, will fall out altogether in this race at some point. It's just a matter of who is going to have the bad breaks.
I'll tell you what, they're going to have to if Portland is flirting in that top 4 range.
I mean, that's fair.
Of the conference right now.
Fair.
Somebody got to fall off.
T.O. in the chat says it well. The Memphis-Soda Grizzly Wolves are cooked this year.
I mean, when Ja gets traded there, then you can definitely call him that.
John Anthony Edwards, Electric City. I look at the
I couldn't see that going bad at all.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Especially considering what it would cost Minnesota to make that move.
It would be Ant and him, basically.
I look at the teams under Phoenix in the Western Conference in the standings. So obviously Portland 5-5. They played one less game. They've had some pretty impressive wins so far this year. Plus they just lost at the buzzer to Desmond Bane and the Orlando Magic, which dropped them to 500. I think the Suns are better than Memphis. I think the vibes are terrible in Memphis. Ja has not had a good season, and sure, health has been a question this year for Memphis. Health has always been a question for Memphis for the last couple of years. So I think the Suns are securely above Memphis, who's the 10th seed.
I'll say real quick, Suns fans, you should absolutely be rooting on the downfall of the Memphis Grizzlies. Something we'll revisit at a later date should it happen, but keep your eye on what's going on Beal Street.
Sacramento Kings.
We're keeping an eye on that too.
Yeah. By the way, walked in the office today and sitting where I usually sit, Ayrton left a Bradley Beal card out for me, which I found extraordinarily
Was it half
disrespectful.
bent and just out of shape?
No, it was in much better shape than Bradley Beal. Get well soon, King. Sacramento Kings at 11 at 3-7, tied with the Utah Jazz and the Los Angeles Clippers. I think the Clippers have been the biggest disappointment in the Western Conference so far this season. Do we feel like with how things continue to shake out this season, the Suns are for sure better than that group of three teams, the Kings, the Jazz, and the Clippers?
I'm not ready to write off the Clippers yet. We haven't seen Kawhi on a regular basis. We've seen Ty Lue make chicken salad out of chicken, you know what. Like there's, he has been able to do things with much less. So I'm not going to write them off yet. I think the Suns are probably better. Utah, obviously, sustaining the injury to Walker Kessler, which is gonna hurt them. I think they're better than that group, but I refuse to write off the Clippers yet because I feel like we're always prepared to over the last few years, and they find a way to surprise. So,
yeah, for me, I'm not writing any team out in favor of the Suns because, like we talked about coming into the season, they don't have much of any margin for error. They've been operating outside of 30 minutes total without their second best player. So they have things to answer in sustainability. It's only been 11 games. 6 of those 11 games, they've been very good. Those other 4 or 5, they haven't really been that good.
Yeah.
They've been very middling, if not leaving a lot more to be desired in those first couple of games. So that speaks to inconsistency. Recently, they've been very consistent, but is the regular season 82 games or is it 6? And obviously the answer is 82.
I wish it was 6.
Well, if that's the case, then
Actually, no, if it was 6, then we'd be screwed.
Okay.
We'd be in a really bad
I wish
spot.
it were 11.
Yeah.
The last 2 years
Yeah.
would feel a lot different if the regular season were 11 games.
Exactly. And to that point, like it's good to see this in a small sample size, but now what about when you open that sample size up to other teams, top-tier teams that put different pressure on you, teams that they've shown to have some subtle issues with, a Jokic-led team, things like that. They have to find the consistency, so I don't want to put them ahead or behind of anybody. I just want to see them continuing on that trajectory of ascension.
Well,
they stay there, they can find themselves ahead of some teams that others said they would be ahead of them in the play-in race.
Can we agree on one thing?
Depends on what it is.
They're ahead of the New Orleans Pelicans. Can we agree on that?
For the moment.
Can we agree
But
on
New
that?
Orleans
Do we
is
really
missing
think New Orleans is going to be turning it around this year?
I'm not going to sit here and say anything about anyone because we are in just as curious of a position as anybody else.
That's what I'm saying.
I've been down this road and gone to this rodeo far too many times to know I say something like that and it's going to get clipped and come back to bite me in the ass when New Orleans finds a way to be the 6th seed because everybody comes back healthy. They fire Willie Green, they hire a new coach, and all is well in New Orleans. I'm not calling anybody out right now like that.
We'll see. They are the New Orleans Pelicans. The last team we haven't talked about that's below the Phoenix Suns in the Western Conference standings is the Dallas Mavericks, who just fired Nico Harrison. That's the next team the Suns play. Damon, our Wildcats and D-backs guy, brought up a great point to me. He said, is this not the biggest the Suns are going to lose a scheduled loss because the Mavericks finally fired Nico Harrison and the team's going to be fired up about it?
I don't know. My guess is they let AD play because the rumor was that the owner held AD out the last game because he wanted the Dallas to lose because he had already decided to fire Nico. That Nico and AD were ready for him to play, and the owner put the kibosh on it because he was like, I can't fire him if they start winning. So
AD looks big. I don't know if you've seen
Man,
some pictures.
stop. That was the shirt and the angle of the picture being taken.
Look,
We
as a
ain't gotta
guy
do all
who the shirts and the angles determines how he looks in a picture as well, I get it, but it was more the face for AD.
It's AD, for God's sake. Even him big isn't big. Like,
I just think it'd be really funny if they traded Luka for being out of shape, and then AD gets there.
Naturally,
it's not like they traded Luka for Zion. I mean, come on.
Hey, Zion looked the best he ever did coming into the season, and he's out. Any other thoughts on Western Conference teams before we take a look at that play-in race in the East and where the Suns might stack up against some other sleeper teams in a different conference?
Look, the West is a cluster, and it's going to be all year. I think there's going to be very few teams that you're going to be able to definitively just write off at any point. And with the Suns playing better than anybody thought, that was one of the teams everyone was prepared to write off by Christmas. I think we're in for one of the craziest rides in the Western Conference we have seen ever, because I don't think Dallas is going to sit there at the bottom. Cooper Flagg's going to figure it out at some point. It's all going to come together. AD, if he can stay healthy, which is a big if, but I think there's too much talent still that hasn't been on the board for most of this year that's going to come back for anybody to be written off outside of maybe Utah, and even they have found ways over the last couple of years to at least keep in it through January. So
Kyrie's still coming back for the Mavericks, maybe by the turn of the calendar, if not shortly thereafter. So that's something that's going to clearly give them an in-season trade type of boost from something they just didn't have to something they will have. Yeah. There's obviously a ramp-up period there too, but he's going to add value. I firmly believe in the things that the things that the Portland Trailblazers are doing and the things that the Phoenix Suns are doing. Mm-hmm. And it's specific to the defensive end of the floor. And it's the pressure that they're applying and the wear-down effect in just a singular game that comes from it, but them also being varied with that as well. That's not something that all of the other Western Conference teams have to the extent that they have, and they also don't wear those qualities the same way as that those two teams do. I think that's something that's going to get them wins against some teams that most would say they quote-unquote don't have business competing with.
Yeah, I agree. And they say reading is fundamental, but I actually think it's winning, because the fundamentals are what wind up being able to help you continue to win, even if your talent level isn't at the highest.
To say reading also fundamental.
It depends on what you're trying to read, I guess.
The play-in conversation in the East is interesting. So at 6-4 in the sixth
Isn't
seed,
it every season at this point for them?
It's fair. That's basically like the actual playoffs for them.
It's the sub 500 race. Isn't that usually what it is?
Well, actually,
in the East?
there's only one sub 500
for
team
right now.
Right now. Mm-hmm. So the Chicago Bulls are the 6th seed at 6-4. They've gone through a little bit of a tough stretch. They've lost 3 in a row. But then in the actual play-in at 6-4 as well is the Philadelphia 76ers, who Joel Embiid's now other knee is being investigated for soreness at the 8th seed.
I thought you were going to say for gambling.
The 8th seed, the Atlanta Hawks at 6-5. At the 9th seed, the Toronto Raptors at 5-5. The 10th seed, the Boston Celtics at 5-6. And outside of the play-in, but also at 5-6, it is the Orlando Magic. Then there's a pretty steep drop-off to the Hornets, the Nets, the Pacers, and the Wizards. 3 teams with 1 win, by the way, in the Eastern Conference. But when it comes to the Eastern Conference sleepers, out of those 6 teams, Bulls, 76ers, Hawks, Raptors, Celtics, Magic, who's the best team out of that bunch?
I think it's eventually going to be between the Hawks and the Magic when they both kind of figure out things. I think the Magic will be a dangerous team eventually. They've had to figure out some things. I think the Hawks have a chance to be that. I think they're probably the 2 best out of that group right now.
I would agree with those 2 teams. Those are 2 of the 3 teams that I said, please don't be surprised if one of those teams ends up in the conference finals. The Magic in particular, for me, their defensive ceiling is so high, they actually have to realize that again and get back to doing what made them a team with that potential. But I think once they do that, which I believe they will correctively do soon, they're going to be viable. Atlanta needs Trae Young to simply be healthy. He's an offense in and of himself. And they play a lot of defense on an individual basis, but also as a team. That's a lot to deal with the way that they want to play with Quinn Snyder. And I think they're going to be in everybody's way. The other team I said don't be surprised they end up in the conference finals was Detroit. So
Detroit 9-2 right now.
And they're not even close to the play-in right now.
No,
right?
They're actually the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, up by 2 games already. Mm-hmm. They're on a 7-game win streak and 9-1 in their last 10. They've been playing incredible. So and I do agree with you guys, the Hawks and the Magic, especially fully healthy. I will say the Magic are interesting. If they do not get it together by the midway point of the season, I do believe that Jamal Mosley, despite all the good stuff that he's done in Orlando, will likely be on the hot seat, which is interesting because their offense just cannot get it together despite how good their defense is. Would you consider both of those teams better than the Phoenix Suns?
Yes.
Which 2 teams again?
Atlanta and Orlando. So the 2 best teams we think out of those 6.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what about the other 4? Chicago, Philly, Toronto, and Boston. Where do the Suns rank among those 4?
Probably in that Boston-Toronto range for me. I mean, Chicago probably still finishes about 500. That seems to be their destiny all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's those 3 teams, but I think it's tough to kind of tell between that group of three and the Suns, who right now is going to be better?
I think Philly is the best team of those four. I think the Suns should, if they hit their ceiling, be right below them in terms of level of play. And then you got Toronto, who's playing a lot of defense, doing a lot of good things the last couple of weeks. Brandon Ingram healthy. They're probably right there at that same level as the Suns, if not slightly below them. And then you got the other two teams, the Bulls and the Celtics.
Yeah, I think that the Suns have a legitimate conversation to be better than all of those teams. With Philly, you have to take into account the injury status. Paul George still hasn't played this season. Joel Embiid going through a healthy season would be a miracle, not a minor miracle, a major miracle.
A medical miracle.
At this point. Obviously, I'm a big VJ Edgecombe fan. I think Tyrese Maxey is really good. Quentin Grimes has had a good season as well.
Really
I didn't know you were a VJ Edgecombe
Huge.
fan.
He followed me on Twitter. But I do think that the Phillies hot star
Shout
and
out
everything.
Adem Bona, we got it.
Yeah, Adem Bona is good. I like Philly. I don't know without Embiid playing as much as he can play. Obviously, I feel like if they bring Paul George back, I don't even know how much that actually helps them at this point with how a lot of guys are playing around him. Trenton Wofford is apparently LeBron James at this point, which is crazy. Boston, I kind of feel the same way.
So he's sitting out with sciatica?
Boston, I kind of feel the same way. Boston is a weird team right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if they actually end up out of the play-in. I don't know if maybe Orlando bumping up is what bumps them down. I don't see Charlotte getting in there. Toronto, I also don't have a ton of faith in either. And the Bulls are the Bulls. I'm sorry, Steven. I know they're your favorite team.
I don't know what we're apologizing for, but okay.
But I think the Suns have a legitimate conversation to be better than those four teams this season. And again, they haven't had their second best player for a majority of the season. If the Suns stay around 500 by the time we get into January, and let's say Jalen Green's back and they play like they did in the one full game we got, I think that changes a lot of the dynamic of what we're talking about is where they stand among these other teams in the NBA.
Yeah, I think it would not shock me if Boston sells off at some point, because I don't think they have any intention of trying to win this year. I think they are hoping to gain some assets and prepare for when Tatum's back next year. I think that's exactly what they're looking at, especially with new ownership coming into the fold. So,
and to that point, while we're on Boston, I would personally love to see the Houston Rockets go and get Anthony Simons.
I wouldn't. Just for personal
team
reasons.
That needs shooting, needs guard play in general, guard creation. He's a hand and glove fit. Worst case situation would be them finding a way to go get Derek White. I don't think they can do it contractually, but Anthony Simons in Houston would be a lot of fun.
Rob, before y'all talk about how good you are, try not playing 80% of the games at home first. Also, just really, really bad teams other than, I assume, than that. Technically, they haven't played
6 of 11 at home.
Mathematically, that's not 80%. Right?
No, it is not.
So if you came into the season saying the Suns were a bad team and they're beating bad teams, are you going to fault them for winning games against the teams that are on the same proverbial level that you just got done admitting that they're on?
I mean, they thought the Suns were worse than everybody, that they'd lose all those games.
Look, none of us are sitting up here saying the Suns are one of the best teams in the Western Conference.
Two of us aren't.
A sleeper team is just a good team that catches people by surprise. That's what we're talking about here is, are they better than people think? And are they a middle-of-the-pack team, which, based off of what everybody else expected the Suns to be this year, is a really, really big improvement. So that's kind of where they stand among similar teams in the NBA. We'll continue to talk about kind of the league as a whole as we continue to go on this season. One thing I really wanted us to do today is update our blue collar boy spectrum, because it's been about 2 weeks into the season now. We are 11 games into the season, and I think it'd be good to kind of revisit, see where we were before the season started and what we would adjust. So for those who are new around here, obviously, like that one guy who said we've played 80% of the games at home, this is what our blue collar boy spectrum looks like. And the blue collar boy is the one that does the dirty work, the one who puts in the extra efforts, the little things. From left to right, so least to most blue collar boy, we've got Kobe Brea, CJ Huntley, Kaman Malawach. I don't know who's next to Kaman Malawach. Is that Jalen Green? Jalen Green, Isaiah Livers, Oso Iguodaro, Mark Williams? Yes. Devin Booker? Yes. Rasheer Fleming, Grayson Allen, Nick Richards, Ryan Dunn, Nigel Hayes-Davis, Colin Gillespie, Royce O'Neal, Jordan Goodwin, and all the way on the right, it is Dylan Brooks. Steven, as the creator, the advocate for blue-collar boys, what do you think? Blue-collarness. Who would you like to talk about first? Who do you think needs to be moved up or down the most?
Colin Gillespie.
All right, let's talk about Colin Gillespie.
Mr. Villain Jr. has embraced it all. Is one of the 2 or 3 most impactful extended pickup point defenders in the entire league. In terms of when Colin is at the point of attack and picking up the person that's initiating an offense, and he's doing so on the other side of half court, the Suns' defense is at its absolute best. Coming into yesterday's game, they were at like 0.8 and some change in terms of points per possession when Colin was at the point of attack with those extended pickup points. That is on the volume at which he's doing that, which is for most of the possessions he's on the floor. That says a lot about the things that he's doing now past just the point of attack defense. Watch him when he's going for rebounds, because when they're on the defensive glass and an offensive guy, a big man gets a rebound, if he's not the one that's trying to box that guy out, he's finding a way to go and take away the ball once they bring it down below their waist. And he's plucking it away, and they're getting out in transition from there. He's diving into the stance for loose balls to save it and doing all of those little things. So he gets a bump up from me. I would put Colin
second? Above? So he's 4th right now.
Correct.
Royce O'Neal, Jordan Goodwin, and Dylan Brooks in that order ahead of Colin Gillespie.
Yeah. Connor. He goes up to number 2 right now.
Number 2. Okay. 100%. So we'll move Goodwin and Royce down. Colin Gillespie, congratulations. You are number 2 in blue collar.
And by 2, I mean he's the 1A to Jordan Goodwin's 1B for number 2 for the Suns on the blue collar spectrum now.
Espo, where would you like to go on our blue collar spectrum?
Grayson's got to be higher.
Okay.
I think Grayson has deserved and earned the respect to be much higher on this list with his play on both ends of the court so far.
Yeah, I think we move Grayson up. I believe Nick Richards is the next one in order here. He's definitely above Nick Richards. And I think we need to move Nick Richards down. I think we need to move Nigel Hayes-Davis down.
Off the list?
Just significantly down. I think Nigel was probably our biggest overreach on this.
Well, is he doing less of the blue collar stuff, or is he just not been productive in terms of other things that are being asked?
I think he needs to be moved down. Espo is holding up a sign saying
I'm putting my foot down.
No.
Nigel doesn't need to get moved.
Nigel needs to, dude. You got to be on the court.
Yeah, you can't.
You got to be on the court, man. He's not in the rotation.
Again, context-wise, is the reason why he's not on the court because he's not doing blue-collar things, or is it because his 3 ball is not falling and he's not adding other points of value to their offense at the moment?
Let's talk about it in overtime. If you're watching on TV, the party always continues over at Go. PHNX.com. If you're watching on YouTube, listening on audio, you don't have to go anywhere. All you have to do is hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, become a member today, become a diehard today, and hit that 5-star review. You got a lot of homework to do here for PHNX Suns. Look, let's look. Nigel, I think, just moves down. Maybe not because of what Nigel's doing, but because of what other guys are doing. I think Ryan needs to go ahead of Nigel, and I think Grayson needs to go ahead of Nigel.
I think
why does some furniture have to move for something else if there's already a space that's available for something else to move up? That's my thing. Just because someone's not playing well doesn't mean they're not doing the blue-collar things. The reason Nigel is not getting minutes right now has nothing to do with him not doing the blue-collar things. He's doing those things when he's on the court, but it's about the and then what, because the Suns don't have the margin for error for guys to only tend to the margins. You got to do something a little bit more than that.
I think that's fair. I would argue that Grayson's been a top 4.
I don't disagree with that part at all. I'm just saying if Nigel is where he is, you can move Grayson ahead of him. You don't have to move Nigel back. That's my thing.
So I think, Grayson Allen specifically, do we put him below or above Royce O'Neal?
I think he's right there with Royce. I think the both of them have done all the blue-collar things you could ask of them this year.
I might move Royce up a little bit because
that's fair.
Think about who Royce has been guarding the last couple of weeks.
That's fair. And what he did with on that Wemby matchup.
And it's nothing different than he showed, which got him the blue-collar king last season, but it's him doing it more impactfully that I feel like gives him a little bump up.
So do we move Jordan Goodwin at all? Or do
Nah,
we keep
Goody
Jordan?
stays
Okay.
where he's at.
Okay, so Ryan Dunn should be ahead of Nigel Hayes-Davis.
For what he's done this season, yes.
Yeah,
Yes. I agree.
I
And
mean,
that's
well,
it.
and last season, considering that Nigel Hayes-Davis was in EuroLeague last year.
Fair.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but what he did in EuroLeague.
I mean, it was great. It was not as much blue collar boy as much as it was just pure buckets. Look, Ryan Dunn should be up for sure. I think Ryan
He should be between Grayson and Nigel.
Okay, yeah.
But trending clearly in the right direction.
There's a lot of blue collarness on this team. Ryan's second efforts on rebounds, his defense, he's blocking shots like crazy. He's attacking the rim hard. He is just putting in that extra effort at all times. So we have like a bunch up front here, right? So Dylan Brooks.
Pause it there. For a team that doesn't have much margin for error, that is exactly what you want to see.
100%.
That's exactly why they've won 5.
A bunch of main rotation guys that are trending towards the top part of the blue collar spectrum.
So there's a bunch, and then there's just a lonely Nick Richards, and then there's another gap, and that is Nigel Hayes. No, that's Rasheer Fleming. I look at my computer, man. I can't see.
Look, I don't think we need to worry about anybody other than Devin Booker on there.
Book
And I
needs
think
to be
Devin
moved up.
needs to move
Book
up in
needs to
front
be
of
moved. Mark and Devin. Mark and Devin need to be moved up.
That's true.
Both above Nick Richards.
And I think then you're done. I think the rest of the guys.
Isaiah Livers, I think, should move up a little.
Not above Nick. They can get
Yes,
closer.
dude.
They can get closer to Nick.
I'm
They
sorry.
can get closer to
Nick
Nick.
Richards is not, bro. Come on,
You-
Nick. Blue collar boys don't make mistakes.
No,
That's
no,
not
that's
true.
not. That's
That's
not
not
the
true.
definition. That's why everything's
Nick
so
Richards-
skewed right now.
Devin Booker has been better on the margins this season than Nick Richards.
How you can't compare the two? They don't play the same position.
Well, we're comparing everybody.
Nor do they do the same things in terms of what makes Devin Booker the best of version of his blue collar self and Nick Richards being the best version of his. It's not about production. It doesn't even have anything to do with
But I
stocks
think even
and all of that
beyond
stuff.
production and stocks and stuff, I just think Nick kind of doesn't. He has lots of lapses in judgment.
Yes,
I think if you look at all the guys that are the top of the blue collar boys, these are guys that are just energy and effort every
That's
single
not true.
play.
Jordan Goodwin makes mistakes, but it's because he's outworking it. My argument for
Dylan
Devin
Brooks makes as many mistakes as anybody out there right now.
headbutting balls for delay games. Like
Yeah.
to me, my argument why Devin Booker would be above Nick Richards is the effort we've seen on defense and the little things he's doing on that front, and his willingness to not have to be the man all the time, but do the little things to help his teammates get some of that glow. That would be my only argument as to why Devin Booker on the blue collar spectrum would move ahead of Nick Richards. I understand your argument for Nick and that he comes out and he's trying to do all those things that qualify for it, because blue collar boy is your definition, and I follow where you are with it. I get it. I think that the defensive end and some of those little sacrifices on offense that Devin's made move him up in there for me.
If that's the case, then if Devin was right in the middle and Nick was like the 3/4 mark going towards the top, why can't you just meet them at halfway and bump Devin up just a little bit to be ahead of him?
I'm fine
Because
with that.
because no, Devin's significantly higher up. He just bumped into the top 6.
I can see him right close to Nick.
That's what I'm
Right-
saying.
right there.
Closer
Yeah,
and trending
that's
in the
fair.
right direction. Yes. It's not like Devin's been like a stock machine or like some defensive.
One of the best rim protectors in the NBA, according to shooting percentage around the rim.
My
I think
point-
Book's been awesome on the for what he is supposed to bring on the defensive end. I think he's exceeded expectations.
Another name for me though. We do have another name we need to bring up.
Isaiah Livers.
Mark Williams.
Oh, yeah.
You can't even see him up there because he's in a bunch with a few other guys. Mr. Williams needs to be moved higher up the spectrum.
Higher than
How
Nigel
high?
Hayes-Davis.
I will move him up higher up than Nigel Hayes-Davis. I'll
Ryan
move
Dunn.
him higher up than Ryan Dunn.
Grayson
I'll put
Allen.
him just behind Grayson Allen.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, Mark's been really, really good on the defensive side of the ball specifically.
Mhm.
Lots of hustle, lots of energy, lots of effort.
Deflection monster for the Suns through
Good
the
hands.
games that he's been playing. There is night and day when he's on the court defensively versus when he's not.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
And the
with
offensive rebounds
I
too.
love weird response to a dumb convo.
Mark. Some people are like, I don't get it. Okay.
Yes, but yeah,
But
Isaiah
then he
Livers,
says Mark up there.
Isaiah Livers should move up as well. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, Livers should be above Rasheer. Rasheer, again,
Rasheer's
you have to play.
Rasheer's after Devin right now.
You have to play.
Yeah.
And I think Sheer has to move down. I don't know, because you haven't seen him play.
I wouldn't say he has to move down.
Oso at least plays.
I wouldn't say he has to move down.
I don't know that that's helped Oso's
That
cause.
is fair. Okay. Are we comfortable with where this list is right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of stalling here because you guys are afraid how bad I'm going to kick your
I don't
ass.
stall. I
worried
don't
about
duck
Otto at
smoke.
all.
I don't do all of those.
We're just waiting for Aiden to show up.
I love Steven. He's just like, no, I don't do that. I don't do that.
Dylan Brooks is your top blue collar boy. Then Colin Gillespie, Jordan Goodwin, Royce O'Neal, Grayson Allen, Mark Williams, Ryan Dunn, Nigel Hayes Davis, then Nick Richards, Devin Booker, Isaiah Livers, Rasheer Fleming, Oso Guadaro, Jalen Green, Kaman Malawach, CJ Huntley, and Kobe Brea.
By the way, Hello said that wasn't in response to us. That was in response to a different conversation. So you guys are all right. Hello still likes you.
I don't think that's true.
One quick amendment, Ayrton. You can put Devin like shoulder to shoulder with Nick Richards.
I like that.
I don't want to see much of any gap right there. Yeah.
Steven, can you rank us in terms of blue collar boy levels?
Ayrton is number one.
That's fair. 100%.
As a producer, you either are a dog or a kitten.
He's got to deal.
We don't
with
have any
too.
kittens here in our production group. So shout out to Shane and all of the producers. That job is not easy at all. So start there. I would say I'm number 2. Respectfully.
Or disrespectfully. That's fine. I knew you were number 2.
And honestly,
this is where we get ranked neck and neck, right?
Let's get into Otto.
And I'm saying this because everybody works hard up here. I'm not saying it as anyone's a slacker, but I think that everybody holds up their end of the weight in a certain type of way that after Ayrton, we're all kind of equal in most respects.
I love how politically correct with your coworkers you are, Steven. That's the answer I expected.
One thing we're not going to do is hurt team chemistry around here. My leadership background will never allow that.
So let's start yelling at each other. Let's play some Otto.
That's why the context is who he is. He takes care of business.
Well, that was our blue collar boy spectrum. Let's go ahead and get into a little bit of Otto here. Here's our Otto leaderboard. We have 11 points for Steven, 4 points for me, and 1 point for Espo, who joined the party late. Ayrton, for those who are new around here, what is Otto and how do you score points?
Otto is a trivia game. Pretty simple. We got 4 questions. It's going to be going from most difficult to least difficult. If you get it on the first try on the hardest question, you get 4 points, and going down to 1 point. If we get to the end, the final question is a blacked out silhouette of the player, so that should be pretty easy, but you'll get it when we start playing, so let's just get right into it.
All right, devices away. Let's put the chat away as well, but chat, you guys can play along. Ayrton will be monitoring to see if you guys get it.
And this can be anybody from any period of Suns history, correct?
Correct. Anyone who has ever put on a Suns jersey for any amount of time.
Let's do it.
Question number 1. My averages in my last year before being drafted were 9.3 points per game, 6.1 rebounds per game, 1.3 block per game, and 26.5 minutes per game.
Shannon Brown.
It is not Shannon Brown.
Oliver Miller.
It is not Oliver Miller.
Dragon Bender.
It is not Dragon Bender. We're moving on to the next question. For 3 points, in my 3 seasons as a Phoenix Sun, I averaged 13.3 points per game, 9.3 rebounds per game, 1.5 block per game, in 30.9 minutes.
Ooh, that's a good stat line.
Antonio McDyess.
It is not Antonio McDyess.
Ooh, 3 seasons.
We only get 1 guess per point total, right?
1 guess per point total, yes.
Man, that is an interesting stat line.
Borderline, if not outright starter.
Yeah, I mean, 13
30 minutes in particular.
Yeah, 9.3 rebounds per game. Marcin Gortat?
The answer is Marcin
Let's
Gortat.
go!
Nice.
With 3 points.
Woo! There we go. That's what I like to see. All right.
All right, next up.
Hey, I got some beef with you. You couldn't find him in a Suns uniform. You had to use the Wizards uniform.
I mean, to his credit, he looked the best in this picture. I'm trying to do my guy right. All right, next
go,
up.
Gortat.
I lose 3 points for not getting one of my guys.
Yeah.
that's
I agree on
I lose
that.
3 points there.
I
For
agree.
4 points. In my 4 years of college, I averaged 9.8 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, 1.3 blocks per game, in 25.1 minutes per game.
Jock Landale.
It is not Jock Landale.
4 years in college. Another big man, presumably. Actually, I don't know. 4 years in college, probably an older guy. You got any guesses, Steven?
I'm thinking.
Lou Amundsen?
It is not Lou.
The little break before Ayrton answers something and doesn't, it gets my heart racing a little bit.
Basically 10 and 6 with a block per game
In 25 minutes per game.
in 4 years of school. I'm gonna just throw JaVale McGee out there.
It is not JaVale
I think
McGee.
he had better stats than that.
I did too.
For 3 points, during my 7-year NBA career, I
Oh.
spent just 10 games in Phoenix.
Oh.
Where I averaged 1.7 points per game, 2.5 rebounds per game, and a 0.4 block per game number in 12.3 minutes per game.
10 games in Phoenix.
Trevor
7 year-
Ariza.
I heard Trevor Ariza. It is not Trevor Ariza. What-
I was just saying 7-year career and played in
Oh
Phoenix
yeah,
for
7-year career.
10
TA played much longer than that.
10 games.
Hmm.
Just 10 games in Phoenix.
Thaddeus Young.
It is not Thaddeus Young.
Oh, dude, there's a little smile on Ayrton's face. It gets me every time.
I'm guessing this. Oh, I'm not going to give you guys anything to help.
Oh my god, I have no clue.
Thaddeus Young played
is Eric the last one that gets
significantly
it?
longer
Yeah,
than
I
7
realized
years.
that
Yeah.
after the.
That's what I did with Ariza.
Yeah. 7-year NBA career. I got no clue. Can I just abstain?
Yeah, we can move on.
Yeah, I'll just abstain.
All right, for 2 points. Despite being undersized for a forward at 6'7", shout out Kev, I am known for my intensity.
This is the hardest one I think that we've had so far.
Yeah, definitely.
6'7" intense forward, played 10 games over a 7-year career.
Known for my intensity at a short height.
Short King.
For a forward, still 6'7".
Has anybody in the chat got it?
Nope.
This is the hardest one yet, man.
Michael Petrus.
Nope.
Man. 6'7", intense forward that played 10 games with the Phoenix Suns. Played 4 years in college. We don't know when.
This could be something like Ron Lee. It's gonna be.
Dude,
something,
it's going to be somebody so random. So random.
Eric, this is a kind of mini hint. Eric especially is going to be mad when he doesn't. get
Sonny
this one.
Weems.
It is not Sonny
No,
Weems. I
Weems
see where
played-
you went with that. Steve.
Weems played more games than 10.
Yeah, I asked that. I got
I
nothing for this one.
specifically am going to be upset about Abdel Nader.
It is not Abdel
No, he
Nader.
played a
Let's
lot
get
more
into
games than that.
the Silhouette. See if you guys can get it off this.
Greg Monroe.
It is not Greg Monroe.
He's taller than 6'7". So.
I'm going to be mad that I didn't get this. It's not Mirza. It's not Gerald Green. Those are my goats.
I'll give you guys one more hint because the silhouette's kind of tough. He's got an awesome highlight tape.
Gerald Green?
Highlight tape.
No.
Not Gerald Green.
No.
You guys can guess until you guys feel like you don't.
He's got an awesome highlight.
No, Shannon Brown played more than 10 games.
Yeah, that's why.
This is a big. This is a big man.
It is a 6'7" forward who has a lot of intensity, as stated in the previous question.
So it's a white.
PJ Tucker.
No, he
Tucker
played more than
way
10.
more.
He played more than 10 games.
Nothing's making sense at this point.
Well, if Eric will like him and intensities, it's a white guy, right? Is that what we're looking at? 6'7" white guy.
What?
Crap.
You're the guy
Okay.
whose favorite players are Jock Landale and Frank
That's not
Kaminsky.
true. My favorite player is Charles Barkley of all time. Thank you very much. Devin Booker's probably number 2. Kendall Marshall's number 3.
We're losing the
all right?
plot here. Back to Otto, please.
I'll be upset about. So I've talked about this guy.
We have had a conversation about.
We've
this
had
guy
a conversation about
within
it.
the month.
Within the month?
Yes.
Within the month, you've talked about this guy.
No way.
I think me and Eric might have watched his highlights together within the month.
What?
Are we ready to reveal it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be so angry, dude.
Yeah, go ahead.
Quincy Ace, dude. I
did not remember he played for the Suns.
I forgot.
Seriously, Quincy
What?
Acey was on my mind, but I was like, he didn't play for the Suns.
I forgot he played for the
Quincy
Suns.
Well, I mean, I
10
guess it was
games.
10 games.
What
so.
year?
I think it was 2017 or 18,
16?
something like that around
Yeah.
there.
that
Quincy
makes
Acey was
sense.
a beast.
I
Wow.
genuinely
That's a
forgot he
lost year
played
for
for the
me.
Suns.
Wow.
If we had any collegiate hints past just his stat line, I probably would have got it.
Acey.
If you
Damn,
want,
you know what? That is on me. I should have got. But you said we watched the highlight film together. Quincy Acey came to mind, but I was like, he didn't play for the Suns.
if you continually put guys from that 2018 realm, I will lose this game because those are my lost 2 years with the Suns with a newborn at home. I do not remember anything about those. So that's a good way to stack wins for these guys.
I will
if
say
you
this
want.
question came about after we were watching Quincy
Oh,
Acey
that's
highlights,
tough.
and I looked up his page and I saw that he played for the Suns, and I was like, no way, this guy's an auto question.
Okay.
Nope, that's a gem right there. I was never gonna get that.
So-
I forgot he played for the Suns.
All in all, positive auto day for your boy. Gaining 3 points. So I think the standings right now is 11 points for Steven, 7 for me, and 1 for Espo, unless we knock off the 3 for you missing one of your guys.
Can we go back to the original Marchin clue for me?
It was his averages the year before he was drafted.
Oh, okay. So that does not mean college.
No.
I did not pick up on that.
That's why
I did
that's
not
why I
pick
guessed,
up
that's
on
why
that.
I guessed Dragon Bender.
I thought I was thinking college.
I will say I am very particular and intentional with the way that I word these
Yeah.
questions for future.
I missed that. Congratulations.
And nobody-
that was a
nobody in
fun
chat-
misdirect.
And nobody in chat got Quincy Acey either, huh?
No, they're actually kind of upset, and they think it's a bad question because
No, it's great.
no one knows who Quincy Acey
No.
is.
Okay, that's bad. That's bad for chat.
Listen, I'm well aware of
Look up
Quincy
Quincy
Acey.
Acey.
Listen, those middle 2000 era
Brooklyn Nets,
Baylor,
Quincy
Oh
Acey.
yeah.
Baylor Bears teams, him, Pierre Jackson, all of those guys. I'm fond of them.
Yeah. I
I'm
know the
very
man. I
fond
just
of
did
him.
not. I was not familiar with his game in
Had
Phoenix.
no
Yeah.
clue that he played. You know
Yeah.
what? You learn something new every single day.
Shout
that
out
was
to them
fun.
Baylor Bears teams.
That was great. If Charles hated it, you know it was a good game. Thank you all so much for joining us here on PHNX Suns. We'll be back with a post-game show tomorrow and on Thursday as well. It's the back-to-back for the Suns. It's a back-to-back for us as well.
Quincy Acey has never been anyone's name in the history of humanity.
Oh my goodness, dude! Quincy Acey, the GOAT. We appreciate all of y'all so much for being here. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. Make sure you stay tuned for the full interview with what was the guy's name?
Adam Anacone, Dr. Adam Anacone, former
Doctor.
Suns athletic trainer.
Also,
athletic
keep
trainer.
your eyes out for a Steven film breakdown on Grayson Allen's 42-point outburst in 28 minutes. And if you're a member, you get some exclusive content with that as well. We'll be back tomorrow. In the meantime, you can follow the show at PHNX_Suns as Bronny James gets in the chat and says, Suns never winning. You keep enjoying your garbage time minutes, Bronny. You've earned it.
You ain't winning either because your dad's not good enough to drag your ass to a championship anymore.
Luka might be able to, though. You can follow the Freckled Mamba coming up with great auto questions per usual. You can follow him at Freckled Mamba. You can follow Steven with updates on the team from shoot around, practice, and, of course, every single home game at StevenPG3. You can follow me at ERIKRUBY. R-U-B-Y. Yep, that's the name. You can follow Espo at Espo. In the meantime, remember, you can always look up Quincy AC highlight reels. It's possible.
Quincy AC for the win! Ahoy.
We all silly like the mayor.